What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here with another episode of Two Tree Guys, coming to you live in the studio. We haven't been in the studio for a while to have a full-length episode today. We have a special guest that came to visit us all the way from North Carolina, right?
Yep.
What's up, Josiah?
Hey.
Josiah Georgeson. No, Ed.
You know,
Damn
if
it.
you just call me the Tree Strider, it's easier.
Tree Strider. The YouTube man, Tree Strider here. And we're going to hear his story and talk a little bit about his company, Edelrid, and his position as work safety territory manager, and displaying some cool products with us today and doing some training. But before we jump into all that, I'll introduce the guy to the left of me,
who refuses to show his face on the feed for some reason. I keep hiding.
the wizard.
No, I got kicked off.
You got kicked off?
Phil was like, I don't need you on here. I just get rid of me.
Redo it. The wizard, Jared Abergina.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why I even showed up on this thing.
That's a great nickname.
Isn't it? That's good. It's good. Are you
I've
coming
gotten
back on?
abracadabra. I've gotten it all.
Are you coming back on?
I don't know, man. It's not letting me.
Let me see. All right, we're going to get him back on here. Come on back on. If not, I'd hate to end this whole thing and stuff.
I know you like doing those intros, though, so.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it all the time. Sometimes I forget what I'm going to say, but every time I try to introduce him a little bit different because he likes it. He always tells me before the show, "Hey, try a new technique with me."
Please don't do this.
How'd the training go with him today?
Oh, it was so fun. No, It's great. I felt very, what's the word? I felt like I got the one-on-one exclusive with Jared. You know, normally
you did.
I'm in the audience.
I don't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't even know if he was going to be here today, and he. I thought. Yeah. I mean, he heard you were coming. He's like, my ass is coming in. He's coming in to hear from me.
I know he's pretending like he wasn't down for it, but he was just stoked to get out of the office.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was so nice today, man. Having weeks and weeks of rain, just being able to get some sunshine out there. It was like, oh, this feels so good to get out of the office.
Well, you've been in. Yeah, we haven't had any sun. I mean, last 3 weeks there's been no sunshine, and now we had beautiful day today. He got out of the little Prius, traveling around, previewing a bunch of work out there in the pouring rain. Almost died 100 times, but you made it.
Good.
And you did
Good
it.
Day.
Yeah, created a new program, new app that we're going to be launching here soon. No, we were joking because we have different tech, and he got in, just Google Sheets, and he was like, "Okay, I'm going to organize all this." Started taking pictures and pins and putting all this together. I'm like, "You just developed like maybe a new app that we're going to start doing here." I'm like, we have stuff for this. He's like, "I didn't have time to learn all that other stuff." So,
yeah.
But he did it. He finished it.
Yeah.
Got your system. You got to rock it. You just got to go with what you know.
Sometimes you got to be reactive, and just get into it and figure it out.
Yeah. Get your hands dirty. So what were some of the things you guys went over today?
Let's see. So we started out with trying to break down the idea of vectors, like vectors and torque and forces, in a way that is reasonably accurate scientifically, while also accessible for someone who never had physics. And it was more challenging than I thought it would be.
Did you get through it?
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
Okay,
I think that'll be a good video for the nerdier climber, or at least maybe the young kid who's coming right out of high school, who's got that stuff fresh in his mind, like wants to figure out how to climb safely. Awesome. They'll like it.
Yeah, so I wasn't a part of that, by the way. That's way outside of my league.
I told him, I said, go get Jared. I'm sure he has something to add to this.
I didn't realize you were framing him there. So
I was testing him. I was testing them. But hey, man, welcome to the ranch. Welcome to the academy.
Thank
you.
The
studio.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
I'm sure you've done 100 podcasts before, right?
No, I've done a handful, but mostly on my own. I actually have a podcast. I haven't done one in a long time, and it's super nerdy and not at all related to trees whatsoever.
What is it?
It's called Truth and Fiction, and I actually use literature, like both popular literature, like Moby Dick and things everyone would read in high school, and then popular movies that are relevant and current, like Pirates of the Caribbean. And I sat across from my old high school English teacher, and we basically tried to extract useful life advice out of these stories. because everyone listens to a story or watches something, and if they like it, there's usually something that they really engage with the protagonist, and a lot of times there's something they're particularly repulsed by with the antagonist. And so if we kind of follow that intuition, we can get a sense of like, how should I live? Because I need to live more like this thing I admire, and I need to stay away from this thing I despise. And so we kind of like just look at fiction and bring out some useful life stuff.
Awesome, man. I got to listen to that.
I mean, it's super nerdy, but it was a lot of fun.
It's called Truth and Fiction.
Truth and Fiction, yeah, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
And you would do it. You would do them with your English teacher from high school.
Are you still doing it?
I haven't done one in weeks. Not every time. So I've got a few other guests. I did one with my little sister, who is an English major, and I did one with a friend of mine, Les Miserables, and it's always fun, always really good.
How many episodes do you have?
14 or 15 or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, an hour and a half-ish each, and I really enjoyed it. So it's something I want to keep doing. I just... now,
do you get anybody sending a message or contacting you?
Nobody sees it. No one's ever seen it.
Nobody sees it.
Most of the views are mine.
Can everybody get on there? If you're listening to this, go to Truth and Fiction on podcast, listen to an episode, give it a 5-star rating, and make a comment. Okay?
That would be awesome. That would be so cool.
Let's get this thing popular.
I mean, it's not the kind of thing my YouTube audience I would expect would like, but hey, you never know.
Do you have it recorded, like, to watch?
I don't have any video.
Okay.
No, that was the next thing. I was because YouTube. It's more people watch podcasts through YouTube than through podcast apps. Surprisingly enough, but
yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's weird. But I always only ever did the audio.
Why is that, you think?
I think YouTube, just everyone has it, and if you have premium, then you can play it in the background and have it on your phone without it being showing. So it's just what they get used to, just habit.
Gotcha.
Also, the searching mechanism with Apple Podcasts are terrible. Like, it's impossible to find something that's not just whatever the best thing is at the category. It's for whatever reason, things aren't archived well. Yeah. I don't know. That's my guess.
Pretty wild.
I didn't know you had a podcast. That's cool,
right?
Man. That's cool. So no wonder you're so good at this. I mean, we started the Gear Talk with you earlier today, and you got on and you just took over the show and just ran it. And I was like, this is nice.
Felt the pressure, had the expectations.
Man, you just came like full force and delivered. And you guys gotta check that out. I don't know when it's gonna come out when you guys are listening to this, but Gear Talk, we got to go over a couple cool products that Josiah went over, and check them out. Like those two, share them. 5-star rating, comments.
I'm a super gear nerd, so I've been enjoying listening to your guys' Gear Talk.
We just started it yesterday.
Right.
It was Saturday.
Was
Saturday.
that the first one, the Petzl one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I got on. I was like, oh, this is good. Like, this is this is some background on things that I've played with, I'm familiar with, but Jared's got such a depth of knowledge on this stuff.
I know.
It was really insightful.
Good, man.
I enjoyed it.
I was questioning it myself as we were talking about it. I'm like,
you've questioned
people,
this damn podcast, let alone.
I'm that guy. I'm just not that guy. So I'm like, I do question it. I'm like, people listen to this, but then it came to life for me when, I said this before. My dad was up at this little cafe up in Oregon, middle of nowhere. Some guy came up to him and asked if he was a tree guy because he was talking about trees. And the guy goes, yeah, and so they were chatting. My dad gave his name. He's like, Appercina, is your son one of the 2 tree guys? And my dad's like, yeah. And he called and told me. I'm like, no freaking way.
Middle of Nevada.
Yeah. There you go.
And he had a similar story.
And the funny thing is, we have new people in the studio, and I think we tell the same story every time to them. Oh, we haven't told you the story. But the listeners are like, they're telling that same damn story.
I know, that's right.
What you got to do is change like a subtle detail every time. So the story just evolves over time.
I know. I'm like, and there I was. I had purple pants on this time. No, but we did a podcast here with the Arbor Group down in SoCal, and they were sitting here, and we were like, all right, let's go out to eat afterwards. So we went down the street, went out to eat, and they were all excited, had a podcast. It was cool. It was fun. And we were hanging out. And then this girl walks over to me and she's like, hey, you're on the 2 Tree Guy podcast show, aren't you? And I'm like, how do you know? Are you? I'm like, this has never happened to me before.
Yeah, right. You were like, why, yes, I am.
And these 2 guys.
Was it the smooth voice?
They're looking at it and they're just like, you guys are famous. And it kind of is like, that
I'm convinced that is why everyone, like anyone who does content, that's why. It's just for that moment.
it was a moment. It was
I like your
cool.
stuff.
I felt cool for about that. Yeah. And I'm like, how do you listen to it all the time? She's like, yeah, I do. But I came through the academy and went there. I'm like, oh, okay. See, it wasn't because we're famous because we came through the academy.
Right.
Associated us, but.
Darn, you're known more for your high quality education than your.
Speaking of that, the first time you came here to the academy and went through course.
Yeah.
Right?
First time I was, I did the EHAB actually.
Yeah.
Yep. With my guys.
Somebody, I don't know who came up to me and was like, hey, that's Tree Strider right there, YouTube famous. I'm like, what? And I looked up, I was like, oh, shit, he has a lot of followers on YouTube. Dang.
Been doing that thing for a minute, man.
How long you been doing that?
What are we, 3 or 4 years now almost, I think. Yep.
How many videos do you have up?
Probably about 100. No, not even 100, probably 60 or 70. But it was one of those things, so like most people who do YouTube, the formula is just put a bunch of videos out and eventually you get good. And over time, the algorithm will kind of pick you up, build slowly and all that stuff.
And that's what you did?
No, I was like, I don't have the patience for that. I hate failing. It's got to be good from like number one. And so I got my brother, who's the graphic guy. He's got the aesthetics. He's artistic. Yeah. I'm autistic. He's artistic.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, we got to make this look good from the start.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the gear I like. We're going to talk about tips and tricks. And Tree guys will like it because there's no good info on the internet.
Yeah.
And that was what we did. We just made it look professional, totally faked it till we made it. And here we are.
So what video has the biggest or the most views?
I'm pretty sure it's still one that I did shortly after the Akimbo was released, the official one, where I did like Akimbo versus Rope Runner, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the one that has done the best out of all of them. It's a classic Pareto distribution where the top 20% pretty much gets all the views and the bottom 80 are, very, very low viewing percentage. Which is
now let me ask you a question on YouTube stuff. And this is for Bob, for you. We got a YouTube expert here, Bob. I said, Bob, he made all these simple, not simple, but not videos, just, how to tie a knot. And I said, let's post some of that on the academy, like how to tie a bowline, how to tie XYZ.
Yep.
Because I get on there and I'm like, 2 million views for this simple video.
Yep.
I mean, does that stuff work?
I mean, my knot video is probably in the top 5 most weeks now, as far as like most views on average. Yeah. So like if I hadn't released anything new, then that's up there. So yes, super simple tutorials like that.
Quick,
that are
simple.
But it's all about, and almost anyone who's ever given me feedback has said this. What they love is that I just talk very specifically about the one thing that's in the title, and that's it. Like I jump in.
You didn't get off course.
Yep.
And Bob, we were talking last night over dinner. We're like, I mean, everything I learn is from YouTube. Like if it's a simple, how do I dismantle this vacuum cleaner to fix it because something's wrong with it? I go in, I type in the model, how to dismantle this vacuum cleaner. And I get 80 videos that come up, and that's how I learn from it.
Right. And if you're lucky, 3 of them are good and they're close to the top.
Right. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but that's my generation right now too, and younger, all of them. Like YouTube is the source for information, and there's a skill to sorting it, but that's where the good information is. And it's amazing that people can put out such high quality stuff for free, and I'm glad for it. I think the world's better for it. But
yeah. But
it's
but you get paid for it, right? What do you get?
I get just enough to pay Josiah to make the videos after I record them, and that's about it. It breaks even.
Gotcha.
Edelrid sponsored the last couple, so they've been paying Josiah
cool.
just the production costs, and so I'll pocket a little bit on these when they get done. But I mean, it's not worth the time it goes into it yet. Yeah, maybe someday.
it's gonna catch on.
After this show.
This is
right. This is the big break.
No, it's
the two Tree guys.
It's Truth and Fiction's gonna be the. It's not gonna be the YouTube channel.
Honestly, I would rather do Truth and Fiction. It's so fun. I'm such a nerd. I love literature.
Can you come back and we do one here?
You want to do Truth?
Let's do
it.
Pick your favorite, either favorite movie or favorite book.
I'm watching Rocky, the Rocky series.
Okay. Never
gosh.
seen it.
Bob, shut his fucking mic off. Oh my gosh. You were waiting all day for that. All day you were waiting for that shit. Oh gosh. Everybody, please go to his Instagram, DM him, say some mean stuff to or defriend him so he gets below 3,000. You'll be really upset.
Or don't. He won't see it anyway. He's never on there.
Yeah, I get on for this. You know.
Right.
That's funny. Well, let's dive in and talk about you getting into the industry. You know, how did this all began? This whole, you know, working for Edelrid, however the Germans pronounce it.
I can't pronounce it how they do either.
You know, having a successful YouTube channel, editing videos. I mean, all the stuff you do. I mean, how'd this all begin? This journey?
I was going to school for biomedical engineering, and I was like, I hate this because they just like I couldn't get past the basic level stuff where they just kind of keep reteaching you the same stuff you were supposed to have learned in high school. I was like, stop, teach me something new. And so it just drove me mad. And so I ended up thinking, okay, well, how can I make money in California and make a living and not have a degree because I don't want to do that? And kind of ended up stumbling across tree work almost accidentally. I got some summer job for some guy out in the sticks who mom probably shouldn't have let me go work for. But I had a little chainsaw and he gave me another one.
You want to talk about?
Yeah. He was a great guy by all lucky happenstance. He was fantastic. Still friends.
Good.
But I worked for him for like $15 an hour all summer long clearing his lot. The kind of job that when I was running with my 2-man crew we could have done in a day. I spent all summer doing by myself. And it was like, just, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm pulling things over and bucking them up and dulling the blade and all that good stuff. But I was like, this is all right. It's kind of fun and whatever. And then I had a buddy who's, runs a great tree service up in Grass Valley, First Impressions, a close friend of Keenan's. He was kind of getting more into trees from his landscape because he has a lot of good tree connections. Yeah. So I went and worked with him, groundied a little bit, and very quickly saw the climber. And I just thought I would rather be doing that. And it looked terrifying because the guy was really old school. Flip line, Blake's hitch, no climb line when he's going up the trees, wrecking out these 150-foot pines. Sometimes he'd have a rope, sometimes he wouldn't. But he was wild. But he had been doing it a long time, and he was really fast. Mm-hmm. But I just thought, I was like, that looks terrifying. That can't possibly be the right way to do it. But I would rather be the pitcher than the guy in the outfield. Like that was just. It looked like way more fun.
What your family think about this of you getting in the tree care industry?
Mom wasn't stoked I wasn't going to college, but
how'd you break the news to her that you're like, all right, I'm done with this, Mom?
It was one of those things that just slowly happened. It was like, oh, I'm doing this side job. I've been self-employed almost since high school. Like I always did side jobs. I fixed people's cars. I did some computer stuff. It's like whatever I could find, I just made money because it was better than working for somebody. And then and that's kind of. I don't think she ever really even knew when it happened.
Yeah.
And she definitely didn't. I mean, I enjoyed watching her watch the videos, but she's afraid of heights, so she really was not about it. But she's not really a worrier.
You're born in California?
Yeah. Mostly, okay. Yeah, born and mostly grown up in California.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Sierra Nevadas. Big pondos, big Doug firs, big spready oaks. Good fun.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, so that was it just happened slowly, and eventually I wasn't as scared to down low as when I started, and the stress kind of got less and less. And like Jared was saying earlier, the problems changed to ones that were more tolerable than when they were at the beginning. I never thought I would stick with it. I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then eventually you just kind of get good and it's not so bad. And the problems don't seem so scary. Oh, I'm scared of heights. Oh. So like at first get up 30 feet, it was get sweaty and clammy and you don't like want to freeze up. So you just got to think about the next thing and you kind of figure out how to cope. But then it was 40 feet and it was 50 feet and then there just aren't that many trees more than 50 feet. So only once a week or once every couple of weeks are you really in that scared zone. And then I don't know what it was. It just kind of got habituated to it. And then of course the confidence of doing it and being around solid people like Keenan, just really inspiring they inspire a lot of confidence. Like, you're doing the right thing. You're not going to fall. The ropes are fine. Just keep going. It's like, okay. You just keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just, shortly after I started doing the groundwork, I bought gear and just dumped 60% of everything I made back into gear. and figured I'm gonna
Who
learn.
was giving you that
Right.
direction on gear?
I just
And what gear was it at the time?
the first saddle I bought was a Cheryl Edge, which is
Okay.
like the what's that? Yeah, it became something else. It was modeled after Ergovation, basically. Didn't use that very long. I met you for the first time at Arborfest West, like in 2014, I think.
I'm sorry you had to go through me in that phase of my life.
Yeah. I remember listening to Jared thinking, this guy's one of the best teachers I've ever seen. And I'm a teacher. Like teaching is, I'm compulsive about it. So, and that's why the YouTube mostly. But I was like, I really admire that. Not very often you get in front of someone and think, wow, they're actually teaching this really well as a teacher. That's remarkable.
Well, thank you.
And you showed me your little cut trick on the stump, and I thought, oh, that's gold.
The one I built,
Yeah.
I just broke it apart, but yeah, I kept that from then.
Oh, the redwood?
Yeah. I broke it apart and got rid of it.
Was that in 2014?
14 or 15. I mean, it was a while back.
7 years ago? That's when
It
was the one
had
right?
to have been that one. I mean, that's the only time
first
I brought.
Arborfest West, I think.
Yeah, I brought that log and I put it at the Edelrid booth.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn, time flies.
It sure does.
God, 7 years ago? Shit.
Yeah. And then I just was like, oh, I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to try it all, see what works, see what's comfortable, what isn't. And everyone argued about everything. So it was like, I don't know if it's good or not. I got to just try it. There was just such complete lack of consensus about all of the devices. It was surprising.
Yeah.
So what'd you land on?
I'd use them all.
Use them.
But I came around to is I will always have one rope with a zigzag on it, because if I just want to feel comfortable, I'll run the zigzag. It always works. Yeah. And usually whatever rope ends up getting sapped ends up getting the zigzag, because the zigzag just tolerates sap like none of the other ones do. I never really liked using the hitch cord, didn't use it for very long, kind of was like, this is annoying. But I will always also have a clean rope with the akimbo. And so if I'm in an oak or if I'm doing a crane job or whatever, it's akimbo and clean rope.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And then the unisender lives on the rescue harness. So that one's like permanent. I've got a permanent or a semi-permanent swivel on our rescue harness, because anyone can do that. Anyone can get it on, and they can go up a rope, and it's just going to be there.
Yeah. Gotcha. They'll just die coming down on it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, you do the wrap, and it's not so bad, but it's unnerving. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe they never came out with the second one. I saw that at.
Yeah.
Oh. I know, I'm so fidgety. Sorry.
I'm like, can we get one of the fidget wheels for him?
Something quiet. Yeah.
If you guys been hearing the little clinking sound for the last, it wasn't Jared drinking ice. It was, not drinking ice, drinking his.
Yeah.
Before you pull this up, like, and then I listened to the podcast like, a month later, and I'm like, the whole podcast is just clink, 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 clink.
And then I get a text.
And then he talks.
I want to punch you in the face right now.
The whole podcast. If you guys can find it, you guys will know. You guys are going to want to punch him in the face.
One? Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's bad.
So you started buying some gear, figuring out.
Just bought everything.
Everything. Yeah. Trying out everything. Yeah. Have you always been that type of guy? Like someone to spend that much money, I mean, you dove all in.
Well,
on this.
Yes and no. So I'm a generalist. I have to. Everything I've done well is because I can integrate totally disparate bodies of knowledge and come up with some new insight into it, and it's fun. I did what I realized pretty early on when you look at the math of let's just say we'll call it productivity in the tree, right? So if I can be 2% more productive on a day's work, day after day after day after day, that's a compounding improvement, right? So if I move from a saddle that I can sit in comfortably for 6 hours to one I can sit in comfortably for 6.5 hours, I'm buying another half hour of comfortable, safe work every day. Mm-hmm. That's $50 to $100 every day that I'm making back because I'm using saddle B instead of saddle A. Same thing with gear. It's like, especially with the stuff that I interact with physically on my body, if it means that I perform more efficiently in some manner by a percentage, it's always worth the expense. Like there was no time where I was like, if I just flat didn't like it, then it was a learning experience. It was cheap schooling, but if I used it and I liked it, like I've upgraded saddles a number of times, and I will always find the most comfortable saddle and wear it because it's just, that's against my skin, interacting with me all day, every day. Right. And it's just worth whatever the expense is. It doesn't even really matter when it comes down to it at the end of the day.
Have you read the book? I want to say it comes from this book, Atomic Habits.
I have read that.
The beginning part that talks about the bicyclist team, England, and how they were the worst team where people didn't even want to sell bikes to them to use, right?
Bad premise.
Just terrible.
Bike to your team.
But they got a new coach, and I'm not telling the story right, so bear with me that if it sucks, it's not accurate, but read it. But they made a 1% change every, little bit of this, the different tires. They wore different type of underwear, the seats, how they exercise, and they just kept making all these tweaks like that,
Kaizen.
And all of a sudden they became the best in the world.
Yeah.
Just by little changes that they made.
Small micro improvements are, there's no limit to how
they compound.
Yep. I mean, that's the whole Toyota philosophy is one model to the next, their goal is to be 2% better. And now we have the most reliable, most, functional cars in existence. I mean,
the Tesla.
Oh, I mean, yes, I have one. I love them. But
it makes me think of when I was breaking down footlocking as a kid, and I'm like, how do I compete against, somebody that's taller, somebody that's has longer arms, somebody that's lighter than me, more muscular, stronger, and it's like you got to videotape and, really break down their movements and their motions. I'm like, okay, well, he lacks, flexibility here. He's too much motion here, not enough reach there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get better at those three things, and then I'll see if I can beat that time. And everything that I did was kind of along those measures.
Yep. Yeah.
And it worked.
Anytime you can, it's hard to quantify a subjective experience, but when you go from having bruises on your hips every day at the end of the day to not, that means something, like you don't make as good decisions when you hurt. So if you can hurt less, then that's good.
Right.
When your life depends on the decision you're making in that stressful moment, you just get comfortable, get smart. Like you want that optimized as much as possible.
I think it's one thing that I focus on a lot now that I never did, early in my career, or even taught or really brought up, but, work positioning. I think it's like probably the top thing that I focus on and I talk about all the time because, most incidences occur from, poor work positioning. Right. And it comes down to gear, the options, being uncomfortable, all these things. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just less likely to rush a cut when you're comfortable. Like, I'll think through this. You'll take the time to cut the vines away from the wood that you're looking at. How many accidents you hear about guys slipping out, grabbing their saw, grabbing something, and all of a sudden they've cut themselves all up.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so that was kind of the original impetus of the gear hoarding.
You still like that? You buy everything that comes out?
More or less. Or I try to get them to give it to me first now because they should, frankly. Yeah. But yeah, if it's new and looks interesting, then I want it. I want to try it out.
So what was one of your favorite brands before, kind of getting into it and you started buying a lot of gear? Were you kind of swayed by people in the industry or listening to YouTube of, what the best brand was out there?
This is a character flaw, but I don't tend to take seriously what most anyone else says. Like again, it's a character flaw, but I will generally assume that someone else's judgment is not going to be as good as mine.
So everything you taught out here today was shit, is what he's trying to tell you.
I got a character flaw, yes.
Hey, but all the stuff you were teaching out there on the video, that was shit.
I thought there was a fly by your ear. You shaking your head like this, I just thought something was bothering you.
You were like, oh,
this guy. It's so rare that I come across someone who actually really knows what they're talking about. And so honestly, the first influential moment was that first Arborfest, because you presented. There was a guy from Australia who presented the ART devices.
Joe.
Was it Joe? Okay.
I missed that guy. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
such a good presentation. He went through, he was the one who broke down in that very brief presentation concisely, okay, here's Blake's hitch, here's how that works. Here's a better system with the pulley and the hitch cord, and you improve it, but not much. And then you go to the single line, and then he demonstrated the Spider Jack 3, which hadn't quite come out yet, on the pulley saver. And I thought, oh man, this guy like obviously knows his stuff, and every step of the way was so clearly explained. And so I think that was when I bought the ART at the time. But so seeing a handful of people who were really good, and like, okay, like that's obviously good. Lawrence Schultz, I think, was at that one or the next one. Again, so
was at the next one, yeah.
When I've latched on to guys who were really good, I'll like look at what they're doing and pay attention. August is another guy, super practical. He did a demo. I think he did one of the aerial demos in the big tree.
Yep.
He might have done the crane demo on that one.
He did the felling, the first one.
Oh, okay, the felling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's the one who showed me the Cenas. Like that was a game changer when you realize, okay, we could have good communication.
Yeah.
And so I went through I had the Cena 10s, I had the Cena 20Ss, I threw those away. I got the Cardos, Pack Talk Bold. Now I've got the Picardo Pack Talk Slims. Like that's one of those things where if it means it's like a percentage improvement all day long, every day. So it's just worth it. Like it's expensive, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
What do you do with all your old gear? Are you selling it or are you just collecting it?
It sits in my house.
Oh my
I gave away the Cenas to some motorcycle friends of mine because they use them when they ride.
Gotcha.
But it all gets. I mean, most of it's worn out because I use it. Like I'll find a niche that it's worth having. Like, and I'll use it. And now it's. Yeah.
So we had a thought, and we were talking about this, Bob, Phil, and I. If this is something that would even be applicable, and you tell me, or maybe some of the people listening, we thought about putting on something like this on ATO, of kind of having a trading site. For gear and being able to have a place that people can come and
a
marketplace, and you can trade gear, borrow gear, sell gear. It's probably not the best thing to do, because you don't know where people's gear have been. But I see some not antique stuff, but some old stuff that if I seen it, I'd buy it. Like my old Saka, or got stolen, or
right.
Is there anywhere out there right now that you can put all your tree gear on there, like things you're selling?
There's a lot of marketplace tree climber groups, and that stuff gets snapped up quick. It doesn't last. Like there's guys who want it, but on principle of not wanting to sell used gear, and I know I'm pretty hard on stuff. I try not to. I've given a few things away. The Edge saddle I gave away, and but. That would be, people would love it. They would absolutely love the marketplace, but it is a risk.
It is a risk, yeah.
Working for a company now that does work safety gear, that's one of those rules that you just, no use gear.
Well, same thing at the Academy. We promote, safety and inspection and all that, and it's
well, and the reasonable inspector, like the good, competent guy working with it will know when it's not good. Right. But a little hard to tell online, and then you get it.
You don't know what the gear's been through. I mean, I could have pulled the truck out of the mud with that carabiner,
right?
And, look exactly the same.
Yep, especially if you put, soft shackles or something on it, like you would never know.
Yep,
absolutely.
So
so pros and cons.
Let's do it. Fuck it.
Fuck it. Do it.
Oh man,
just do it.
Yeah. So after learning everything from Jared from Arborfest and buying a bunch of gear, what was kind of your next step in your career where you really started kind of elevating yourself?
Let's see. So those conferences were pretty pivotal, and I knew I had turned the corner when I finally went to a TCI out in Pittsburgh a few years back. It was probably 2018, 19, and didn't learn anything from the climbing demos for once. I was like, wow, maybe I'm got it mostly figured, at least that side of things. And so that was
nice.
That was a big confidence booster. I think that was about when I started the channel, was right around there. But
pretty sweet.
What made you want to start this channel?
A compulsive teacher.
Yeah.
People I end up trying to teach people whether or not they want it. And so I just had a little bit of an outlet. So it's
I know I feel your pain. I do this at home with everybody, and my parents hate me for it. My brothers hate me. My kids, they're just like, Dad, you're not at work. You don't have to teach.
I also hate you. I also hate you.
For different reasons?
No. I also hate you. I know. He's always trying to teach me stuff.
Yeah. Well, so compulsive teaching outlet, and then also I just knew that I didn't want to do tree work forever, because the tree, like fear of heights thing never went away. And I knew that no matter how safe I was, I've had enough close calls and I've caused enough close calls that sooner or later, someone I really love, who's my crew man, is going to get hurt on my job. And whether it's my fault or not, it's my job. And I'm going to feel so bad about that. And if someone actually got killed on my job, or if I got injured in such a way that I can't be the dad and live the life, the physical outdoor life I want to, that's an outcome I was unwilling to even chance, really.
So you started taking some different paths or different approach?
Yeah, I started sowing some seeds. They're just like, hey, well, let's start some things and see where they go to eventually get out of the active day-to-day stuff sooner than later.
And what were some of those seeds?
Well, first it was going deeper. So I started an actual company. So I bought the chipper and I hired a couple guys and I trained them and went hard. Loved it. So fun. The guys were mainly because the guys are rad. I hired my cousin. He's like 19 years old. He was graduating high school. He didn't really want to go to college. He's kind of like me in that he's just spacey and likes to learn about everything and is really curious and is always trying to optimize just for fun. And I'm like, well, come work with me. You'll learn a new skill and it'll be interesting for a while and you'll be good at it eventually. And you can run my ditch witch. And then the other guy was a friend of a friend, and he's like a go-getter climber, but he's just such a positive person. He's always happy, always down. Those two poor saps, I can't believe I did this. My house, and we got our house, and the attic was just nasty because they had a bad rat problem at some point. Yeah. And those two guys went through and helped me gut all of the insulation out of my attic and replace it all over the course of like 3 long rainy days. And it was just the most miserable, grimy, nasty, smelly work in bodysuits and masks.
The best thing was a rainy day. You do that in 105?
Oh, right.
You're like, I'm out.
Nope, not going to happen.
Nope, not going to happen.
I knew better than that. I was going to suffer with them. But so anyway, they were fantastic. And then getting to actually have the whole crew and develop some systems and learn more of the management, apply some of the things I had in mind, some of the criticisms I had towards other managers and other jobs I'd done, and think, okay, here's what I would do differently. Actually getting to work that out was really satisfying. And we made a lot of money.
And that was Strider Tree?
Yeah.
Was the company?
Strider Trees. Yeah.
Strider Trees. So what happened to the company?
I sold off the equipment, and that young guy, my cousin, he bought the Ditch Witch. One of my contract climbing, or one of the buddies I contract climbs for, bought the chipper, sold the trucks, and when I moved.
Now, why'd you get out?
Basically what I was saying, but actually because I got hired on with Edelrid. So it all kind of happened at the same time. My wife's father, or my father-in-law, my wife's dad, passed away a couple years back, and my mother-in-law moved out to the East Coast to try and just get away from all the memories and start over and get healthy that way. And so my wife really wanted to move out there to join her. They're really close. We had my father-in-law passed 2 weeks after or before my daughter was born. So it was like all this life stuff happened at once. Like, wow. We bought a house, they moved in with us, he passed, we had our baby, like all within 8 months. Like it was so fast. And so it was just so much was happening, and I was like, okay, well, here's a transition time. If I get out, use the time to get out. We'll go someplace, live a little cheaper, start a job with a company that seems great. It's kind of up my alley. It's very different, but it's more salesy, more management. And maybe it'll be great. Maybe this will be the chance to get out and just switch everything up and start over. And so that was kind of the impetus of actually quitting the crew.
So did you reach out to them, or they reach out to you?
It was kind of both. So I've been interacting with them for a couple of years because Blair sent me one of the Tree Wreck saddles, and it had become my favorite, like of all the ones I've used. And so I ran into him again at the event. What was it? That event in not Vacaville, the one that we went to last year, I think, last year in the springtime. Not Treopalooza, Treetopia. Yeah, Treetopia.
Okay, here.
Yeah.
Yep,
locally. And so I ran into him again there. We just got to talking, and they were trying to find someone to basically who knows work safety, because everyone involved with Edelrid is from the rock climbing, like sport climbing world. So none of them really know industrial climbing at all. And I was like, well, I might be looking for a job, and I'm trying to get out of the trees. So hit me up. Well, just tell me what it's about. And it just kind of worked.
Yeah.
And so that's.
Well, you joined a great team. I mean, I love Blair and the team over there, and they make some great stuff. I mean, I love their harness too. So.
I mean, he was here our first opening of the academy for the 5-day boot camp we had. He came and supported us, and he's on our video. So if you watch,
that's awesome.
The only vendor partner that's on the video, but he came out here and supported us, and yeah, he's been such a good dude, man.
He is, and he's all about it. Like, he's just, again, so much energy. But he really is.
Yeah.
Fully bought into just the company as a whole, and he runs it really well. He's a great manager.
Yeah.
I mean, he really knows
I've seen him angry a
people
couple
well.
times.
Yep.
Or one time. You just don't show up late at a TCI expo for that day. He will murder you. I think it was a couple of years ago or something. He's like, I'm going to kill these guys. Where are they?
He's got some deep, like, professional roots. Like, he's got one,
Yeah.
he's done the corporate thing a long time, and he, like, knows what's acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get him in for one too, one of these days.
Oh,
He
man,
is.
I would love it.
Dude, if you want to learn some sales, man, that guy, he knows. He somehow his emails come through and sound cheerful.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I've never read an email that sounds so, like, pleasant, even when it's bringing bad news. That
I think it's the type of person Blair is, though, because when you're reading it, you're thinking of him, you're thinking of his his presence, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
You kind of have that feel inside you when you're reading it.
But you don't read his emails. I have to respond to him.
Under the bus.
I'm like, Jared,
I
hey, I
know.
just want to let you
So
know, Blair was really happy in his email today.
Ooh, shit.
That's funny. That's funny. So,
Yeah, great
what,
team, great team.
so born and raised out here. I mean, moving to the East Coast, you never lived out there before, right?
No, never lived. I spent a couple months. Well, I've lived sort of out there over the course of a couple months, doing a couple other jobs that I had done. I did an internship out in Missouri for 6 months, and I did a traveling show based out of Pittsburgh for a couple months one time.
Gotcha.
And so I've been around, seen a lot of it, but yeah, never lived long term.
Traveling show? Like, what was that mean?
Oh man,
You part of the circus?
it was bad. It was worse.
What? You were part of the circus?
Travel.
It was a religious circus. It was a group called the Silver Ring Thing.
Which
Okay.
Oh man,
silver
We
ring?
gotta
Don't look it up.
We got to pull this out. This has to come out.
is
now.
embarrassing.
You were part of a cult?
No, that was the internship in Missouri, but we won't talk about that.
What's the silver ring
man.
thing?
It's a group that they do this, like, really elaborate, like, production, this show that is like, it's very entertaining, but it's about encouraging abstinence, actually.
Okay.
And it's just a Christian ministry.
It's drinking absinthe?
No, sexual abstinence.
Oh.
Yeah, try to just.
All right, we're pulling it up here.
Oh, man.
There. Let's see what this is all about here.
Tell you what, though, those guys.
Silver ring thing.
So for how long?
Silver
How long was
ring
it? 6
thing.
months?
It was generally a 6-month deal. I only ended up doing it for 3 or 4, and I just, like, couldn't tolerate after that. But
So what was your job with it all? What did you have to do?
I was so everyone kind of did a little bit of everything, because there's basically, was there 8 of us in a van, and we would pull up with a semi, set up this whole production in a theater, lights, video, audio, everything, and then we would perform either that night or, like, the next day, and then we'd pack it up and we'd go to another place. Like, it was boom, tight schedule, tight shows, about a 2-hour show or thereabouts, and we, the performers, did it all. So I was kind of in charge of AV, did the projectors and the video primarily, and then I had a couple little parts in it.
So is there anything you learned from doing that for the few months that you use today, or it's helped you out?
A lot, actually, yeah. So there's this weird thing about most Christian art for some reason. So I'm deep roots with Christianity, and won't go there now because it's too long of a conversation. But but I've always been, like, really surprised about how just generally bad most Christian themed art is. But that group, that team, they were about excellence. Like, you did this and you did it well, and you worked your ass off until you could.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like the whole, like, oh no, it's okay, like, there's grace. It was no soft group. It was like they were hardcore, and they were intense about what they did, and they did it well, and it worked. But it was the only way it was going to work, was with that kind of intensity. I mean, we had when we were in the training 2 weeks learning the whole thing, it was we were up till between 12 and 4 in the morning 4 or 5 days in a row. Like, nope, we could hit this again until we get it. Do it again until you get it.
Wow.
And that was just, so I really learned something about the kind of necessary discipline and the striving for excellence in whatever domain, and what you can really do with a couple of handful of knuckleheads and and some good organization. And it was,
Yeah.
It was cool.
Did you get paid to do this, or was it free?
Yeah, it was paid, not like much, but it was, it was, got to see a lot of the East Coast and the South.
And they're still doing this?
I guess so. I mean, the website looked updated. Yeah, they do a little different tour every year.
Silver.
I've never heard of it.
Silver ring thing. Yeah.
Silver ring.
Their deal was you wear this, a purity ring is the idea. It's like, put it on. It's your like promise not to have sex before you're married or something along those lines.
Got it. So it's all focused around the youth, and
just doing what's best for them is kind of the idea. I mean, it's very well intended. It's
got it.
Silver ring. Okay.
Yeah, so that
I'm gonna watch some of it. That's
after I got after that was when I started tree work.
Oh shit! I'm watching it.
That's not it.
Yes,
that's
it.
This
is
that
the
has
silver ring.
That has
thing.
3 X's behind it. It's the wrong one.
It's the wrong ring.
It's the wrong ring.
The wrong ring. Not a cock ring. Oh shit!
That's so funny.
There it is. Okay.
God.
Oh, there you are. I seen you on here.
No way.
Yeah. You had a chainsaw in your hand.
That's the other guy with the chainsaw. He cuts a board off in half on the screen.
No, it was. Watch, Jared. Here he goes. It's gonna be with
Am I wearing the Jason mask?
Let's see. There it is. Okay, I guess it's not going. Yeah, there's somebody with a chainsaw.
Oh man.
Man.
Yeah.
So, what was it? A little bit? Were you kind of nervous moving out to the East Coast? I mean, moving your whole life.
Yeah. I mean, a little nervous. Yes, I was definitely been anxious about it. Like mainly working for someone. Like I haven't actually worked for someone other than a couple little stints. That being one of them. Like almost since high school.
Were you able to kind of figure it out? Because if you haven't worked for anybody in a long time, it's hard.
It is, and I'm still figuring it out. I really don't have it dialed at all. Very much still in process.
Are you working right now?
I am working right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on a business trip actually.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
And what was the business trip?
We're calling it business development. So working with partners, you guys who we value and have a working relationship with. And then I'm actually going down to SAC tomorrow to go visit a few like lawn and garden shops who have contacted us. They're like, hey, we want to stock some arborist stuff. Can you help out? So I'm going to go help them kind of figure out what they need and help get them set up.
Good.
Yeah, which that is stuff I can do. I'm so happy to be like doing things in person, talking to people face to face. It's the emails and the open-ended like stuff that is just a little bit soul crushing. And I'll figure it out.
You better get used to it.
Right.
I'm just saying. It sucks, but that's what you got to do.
Oh yeah, and I figured everything sucks when you're not good at it, and eventually maybe you'll get good at it.
That is, everything sucks when you're not good at it.
But you know, you'll find your stride.
I mean, ask Jared about fishing.
Oh, come on.
Dude, if you ever want like the guide, that guy Tom O'Brien, who is one of the tree services I worked for, he is the best fisherman I have ever met in any circumstance.
Really?
He's like the Instagram guy when you go pick him up on the road.
Oh man, Jared, that's so funny. He shared this video with me. What was picking up your friend to go fishing who doesn't know how to use a bait caster? And then it's this homeless man drinking a beer with Daisy Dukes on, dancing to his music, and I laugh every time I watch it. I just get on it if I need to laugh and watch it. It's pretty funny. I'm actually gonna post it on my Instagram, so you guys check out my Instagram. I'll post it tomorrow or tonight.
For Daisy Dukes fisherman, man.
That's fantastic.
Baitcaster's the worst. Hate those things.
First time I ever used one, going out with these guys, they're like, "Oh, you fished before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I fished before." They're like, "Here you go," and I was like, "Oh, so." I'm like, "Whoa!" And they're just sitting there. They just both look the first cast. And I'm like, nobody's getting that shit out.
Yeah.
Have you ever used one of these? I'm like, never. They're like, oh, you should have said something. I'm like, I don't know. It was a fishing pole. I thought I could.
It spins, right?
Yeah.
Like it spins.
No,
String comes off.
It took me a while.
You're lucky I wasn't there. I would have been laughing my ass off.
I would have pushed you in the water. I swear to God, I would have pushed you in the water and left.
Oh man.
So what's on the horizon for you? What's kind of your next?
Dude, I do not know. I am so I'm hoping some seeds sprout somewhere. I've got the podcast that I really want to kind of get reinvigorated. I've got a lawyer buddy who is the best internet marketer I have ever come across, and so he's kind of taken over the Chicago for sale by owner market single-handedly with his own website. And so we've got a whole bunch of different little small business ideas that we've kind of been going back and forth on trying to get going. And he's out in Charlotte. So that was the other reason another incentive to move out there. Is like, hey, we're going to do something together.
Cool.
He's just too talented to not want to partner with. And he's a fantastic dude, friendly, easygoing, and brilliant. So I don't know. Well, maybe the podcast will take off, or maybe this YouTube thing will go somewhere. And I don't know. Or maybe Edelrid. I mean, Edelrid's in a position, and we haven't talked about them much, but they're really kind of new to the work safety game. They've been doing it a while, but they just don't have much presence. But their stuff is awesome. Their gear is really good, and they've got harnesses for the rope access guys that are really good, and they're working on some fantastic ropes. And so my hope is that as the first real work safety rep, that I can help them expand that into what is a much, much bigger market share than even they could potentially get with the sports side. People on the recreational side, they don't spend big money on stuff, and they don't spend money all that often on stuff. But the safety guys, I mean, I'll just buy whatever I need that's going to be good. Like, as soon as I figure out it's better, I'll get it. Like, it's that simple. And I think there's a lot of guys that, like, especially at the higher level, who think that way. Like, oh, that device will be good. And of course, they go through their gear too. I mean, this stuff is what do they call it? Consumable in a lot of ways. And so it's just a better market. My hope is that if I can learn to tolerate and really do the corporate thing, that'll be beneficial for everyone and it'll work out. But
sounds like you got a good thing going.
Yeah, got a lot of little things going.
Yeah,
let's see which one shakes out.
That's the way to do it. You got to have all fires lit.
You got to have a lot of little things.
Keep all the things in the ire, all the irons in the poker. I mean, all the all the irons in the fire. So I'm hoping the business picks up a little too. I've been trying to keep my arborist thing going just so I can have content and do the occasional side job so I don't feel poor.
Just come out here and shoot a bunch of footage.
I might. Put me on some jobs. I'll get out there and climb there for a week, shoot a bunch of footage.
Yeah.
I'm down. We can make that happen.
We could probably drum something up, that's for sure.
Yeah. We got a couple good projects coming up here soon.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Maybe we'll get you out on the Sierra Tahoe project.
I love those mountains, man.
Oh, it's awesome.
That'd be great. Where's it at? Where's it going to be?
Tahoe.
In Tahoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at the resort.
Oh, at the resort.
Sierra Ski Ranch.
Is it there where they logged it this last year?
It's only phase 1, though.
Oh,
I mean, there's plenty more to do. I just rode there a couple weeks ago, and there's a lot of work.
Is it a clearing project or like a bunch of trimming around the buildings too?
No, just from the fires.
Okay.
They're cutting everything back 100 feet or 100 yards from all the runs.
Oh wow. Okay.
100-foot section.
Trying to expand the runs. Is that the idea? Like
all of them burnt down.
Yeah, just get the distance. So if anything were to fall, somebody to run. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they removed a lot of timber out of there.
Yeah.
But phase 2 will be happening in springtime. But they opened up all the runs. They didn't think it was going to be open, and they opened everything up. And,
all right.
And they were excited.
I wonder if the snowpack would help keep those things vertical. Like when they're dead, you still would lose branches in the wind and stuff. But I wonder if like 10 foot of snowpack would just kind of lock it in.
Sure. Kind of like my logs out here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just buried in good.
The mud.
They're not moving.
Yeah. No, we got to set a project up, man. I think, we find a project like we have possibly coming up, get up there. We got like 10 decent sized Monterey pines that are dead to rig out and, fly some drones, put some GoPros up and rig it out. And
my cousin Caleb, the guy, he's a pretty good little drone pilot. He's got some good videos from time to time.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he'd be happy to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you need, the compulsive teaching side, would be happy to come help out with a boot camp or something too.
Yeah,
hey, whatever.
Hey, we're always open for that. I would love to chat more about that. Yeah,
it's good fun.
Oh man, definitely. You getting hungry?
Yeah, I am.
We're getting hungry, dude.
No.
Yeah, definitely. But it's hearing your story and stuff. I mean, definitely the chapter. The book's not closed for sure. I'm kind of interested. Like
the book doesn't even know where it's going yet.
It's gonna
might be a tragedy. Who knows?
I'm excited to see where you go with Edelrid, however you want to pronounce it. I keep messing it up for there. And all these different kind of business ideas you have and things like that. Do you think you'll ever come back to the West Coast?
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly.
Yeah. I lived a lot of places, and despite the politics, California is just a beautiful place to be.
It's awesome.
And the more I get into doing things outside, the more I've got the kids, it's like I just want to be where it's sunny and beautiful, and it'll be expensive.
It hasn't been sunny here for a while.
No, well, it hasn't been sunny in North Carolina, but in little tiny sections in years.
Yeah.
So one thing we always ask individuals that come on here, your experience starting businesses, working for yourself, learning purchasing so much gear and, testing it out yourself and figuring things out without, really having a lot of guidance on this. What is some tips, some wisdom that you can share to kind of the industry out there that can help them out? It could be about anything.
Yeah.
Not even about tree care or the industry, but just in life in general, whatever you have just to share to help somebody on their drive today or going to work or ready to quit their job and start their own company.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that opened it. I didn't need it more open. I needed it narrower. But I'll make it a little more tree. We'll do the micro tip from the tree side here. This is a preview of one of the talks I'm working on for. I may end up getting to do this at TCI if I have any luck. But I'll give a little sales tip for those guys who are selling jobs. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be the best. Frankly, you don't even have to do good work in order for clients to love you and for you to get paid and get good reviews and continue to get more work. The trick is manage the client's expectations well. So when you start, when you talk to them, when you're having your initial conversations, when you're figuring out the scope of work based on what they're expressing, based on how they're feeling about their trees, really, ideally based on the emotions that they are experiencing. Are they worried? Are they afraid? Is your primary job going to be to relieve their fear, and then you just keep increasing the scope of work until it looks like their fear is going to go away? Whatever. You figure out what their actual need is, and then manage what they're going to expect at the end. And so long as you overperform whatever it is they expect, they will be stoked, like without fail. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because it's a little bit humble. You have to kind of underpromise, like, hey, I'm probably going to break this stuff that's under this tree because, as you can imagine, big stuff coming down, things get broken. They're okay with it if you break something. If you manage to save it, they are thrilled. Right. And your job is to save it. And hopefully you're good at that. And hopefully you can make it happen. I do that all the time with grass. Like, hey, so we've got this machine, and by far the most efficient way to deal with this is to use our little machine and track it back and forth in this grass. It's going to get torn up. Like, it's going to get torn up pretty bad. I'm sorry. I can avoid that. I can bring a crane in and we can pick it and lift it over, but it's going to cost quite a bit more. And I just don't really think it's necessary. If you're willing to spend a couple $100 to a landscaper after we're done to fix this grass, like, it'll save you $1,000 right now.
I'm like, can you come take out my trees?
Right? I mean, and it's just generating the expectation. Mm-hmm. And then when you're done at the end of the day, they expected a pile of logs. You give them a pile of bucked logs. They expected a big pile of messy chips. You blow everything off, and so it's all real nice and consolidated. They're stoked, and they call you back to tell their friends. So you can even say, I'm going to leave a huge mess in this yard, but it's going to be cheap because all I have to do is show up and cut these pieces, and it's going to be all scattered all over, and it's going to break this and that and that. But you know what? It's only going to be $500 because I can do it by myself or with one guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool. And then you do it, you bring a guy, you rope it, and you land them all facing the same way, and your guy on the ground just kind of stacks them a little bit nicely, stoked.
Right.
Yeah, like, you don't have to be good. You just have to do what you tell them and better.
Have to manage the expectations.
Yep.
That's
almost
super smart.
Anytime I've had a bad experience with a client, it's because they expected something that I didn't clarify. Like, they expected something more than what I was anticipating doing.
That is some of the best wisdom that's been shared on the show.
Oh, thank you.
That is good. I mean, that
Appreciate
somebody tomorrow will use that.
I hope they do.
And you'll start seeing, they'll start changing the way they talk to the clients, and they're, set up their
Get them reviews, get those 5 stars.
So important for that. So
100.
Josiah, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks for inviting me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good. It
A lot
was
of fun.
definitely
It's been
good.
great hanging out. I love what you guys are doing here. Love the place. It's just makes me happy to see a place that's so clearly built for a purpose and built such that that purpose will be executed well.
Oh, it's like good. Do you have anything based on everything you see? Anything you want to teach us?
No. That's a trap question there. There's no good answer to that.
You'll know when none of the video that I shot out there gets put out.
No. I'm like, I keep
we
looking
chop
on
it all
YouTube.
up into little tiny 20-second little
You're like, I don't
tidbits.
remember saying that. Voiceover is happening. It's not even you talking.
My
They
face
blur it out.
on his body for a second. They're like,
We got Jared here. Bright green shirt.
Oh, that's funny. That's fun. Well, listen, guys. Hey, appreciate you being on the show. Thanks all you guys listening to this right now. If you liked it, if you got something out of it, you got to laugh. If you thought Jared was funny in any way, share it. If you didn't, if you hated the show and you didn't like it at all, send the hate mail to Tree Strider and
I could take it. Put it in a comment on a video.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
You just have to thumbs up at the same time though, so I know it was a joke. That's
Yeah, there you go. So go to Truth and Fiction on his podcast. Go to Tree Strider on YouTube. Awesome guy, man. Appreciate you being on the show today. And we're going to close it out. Jared, you got anything else to say, man?
no, just super stoked to be able to hang with you and have you out here too, man. It's been great. Yeah.
It's been my pleasure. It's great hanging out with you guys. Best of luck. And have fun cleaning up all these storms, eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's the show, guys. And remember, continue to elevate the standard of the industry through safety, training, and innovation. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Peace.